What's going on, guys? It's been a minute, or it's a few weeks, months. Anyway, it's been a while, but I'm back. I've had a lot of shifts and movements and a lot of changes in my life lately. But before I move on with the video, I want to go ahead and introduce the new co-star that's going to be in most of my videos from here on out. So now introducing fiance of mine, because we're like, you know, together and engaged.
Something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Wait a minute. So she's been doing keto for how long?
Here, there, and...
Anyway, she's been doing keto on and off for a few years. And for those of you that don't know, I've been doing keto for a little over 5 years now. About 5 years, 3 months, something like that.
He's going steady.
Yes. I've also always combined intermittent fasting with it and usually kept it fairly strict. But the interesting thing is Heather is more of kind of a lazy, dirty keto. So I think this is going to be very interesting to compare a lot of things that we're going to lay out in today's video to get a viewpoint from two different people, two different sides of the keto spectrum. And maybe you can make the decision for yourself if you're thinking about trying it, or maybe you're wanting to shift to a different style. So there's going to be three main topics that we're going to talk about today. First one is going to be our different eating styles, basically strict versus lazy / dirty. Then we're going to talk about how often we cheat and then what we cheat with. So the eating style section is going to be the most detailed one. We got a lot of different things we're going to cover in it, but we're going to start off with a day in the life, basically what time we get up and eat. Now, I work a third shift job, so I get up usually around 3 to 4 p.m. every day, and I'm eating by 6 or 6:30. And then my second meal is about 12 to 12:30. From there, I fast all the way to the next day to 6 or 6:30. Now, obviously, those two meals are bigger meals, but we'll get to that later. So now, Heather, what is your usual day in the life?
I work a first shift job. I don't eat breakfast. I wait until about lunchtime, normally, to eat my first meal. It's gonna be around 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
And occasionally between those times, order DoorDash of keto or maybe not keto things.
I like carbs, okay?
She tries real hard. So for those of you that have been watching me for a while, you know that I'm strict keto. I keep all the ingredients in my foods as clean as possible, because what's the point in losing weight if you still just don't feel your best? Because you gotta remember, it's get healthy to lose weight, not lose weight to get healthy. Now on the flip side, Heather is more lazy or dirty keto. So we're gonna talk about basically the ingredients that we allow and don't allow in our foods. I'm gonna go ahead and let Heather take it from here.
So there's not much that I don't allow for, and I think that's more fun. It's more enjoyable for me. I focus on lack of excess carbs. I'm not eating potatoes for every meal. I'm not, eating fried foods for every meal. I'm watching what I eat. I don't restrict myself from everything.
It's not everything,
But the things that I typically eat on a keto diet, I like deviled eggs. I like to eat sausage balls that have almond flour in them.
Which are delicious, by the way, the sausage balls. She's an awesome cook.
I like to make steak and asparagus for dinner. And, just basic things that are easy to make, doesn't take a lot of time, things like that.
And not too much effort, which that's just personally me because I'm kind of a lazy cook.
Very lazy. So here are some things that we have some difference of opinion on when it comes to ingredients. We've got carb balanced tortillas. What's wrong with that? Sunflower seeds, peanut butter. I don't see the problem.
Jif peanut butter.
Ooh.
So the things we disagree on, I'm gonna just go through these specifically. Let's start with these. Now, I will say these are very good. They do taste good and they are low carb, but when you're doing a stricter version of keto and trying to keep nasty ingredients out, wheat gluten, it can be very damaging to your intestines and cause a lot of inflammation and a lot of other bad things, but that's gonna get too sciencey, so I'm not gonna go into this here.
Small amounts.
Anyways, another concern is vegetable shortening, and specifically what is in the vegetable shortening. One of the biggest things I see is hydrogenated soybean oils. Now, I try to keep all canola and other bad oils like cottonseed oil, corn oil, and other oils like that out because they're really high in omega-6s. They can cause a lot of inflammation, and inflammation can completely shut off weight loss and also put your health into the gutter. The worst thing about this soybean oil though is the fact that it's been hydrogenated. Now, all that simply means, without getting too detailed, is
boring.
Hydrogenated oils in general can take an average of 53 days to get out of your system. Okay, and then looking at the sunflower seeds. Now, typically these are fine, but I do find the same problem with a lot of these that are flavored. This one, like she said, is the dill pickle flavored. I'm sure it's good, but the biggest problem I see with these, one, they have added sugar, but specifically maltodextrin. Now, maltodextrin can spike your blood sugar quicker and faster than regular table sugar. It registers about a 110 to 120 on the glycemic index.
I'll give them that one. Maltodextrin is terrible.
My biggest concern with these though, and if you watch my other videos, you know I talk about it a lot, and that is MSG, and they outright say it on this packaging. The actual name for it is monosodium glutamate. In short, it dilates the taste buds and it makes things taste a lot better than they're supposed to. It overexcites the neurons in your brain. That's why it's been linked to causing Alzheimer's disease, because it literally overexcites the neurons to the point to where they burn out. And also, it can spike your insulin up to 300%. But now, moving on. Good old Jif. How's it go, babe? Choosy moms.
Choosy moms choose Jif?
Yeah, well, if you're a choosy mom, you might want to know a little bit about this. Now, it's not on this specifically, but I do know if you're going to go with peanut butter, which personally, I don't eat a lot of peanut butter. It just doesn't personally agree with me.
I do.
But a Jif has a lot of added sugars, and usually it's made with some kind of nasty oil like canola or soybean oil. So with that said, babe, you can have this back. So as far as what I eat in a day, I keep it pretty simple, and I eat a lot of the same stuff most of the time.
A lot.
She thinks it's boring.
I'm sorry, but it's boring.
Calm down now. Some of you know, but for those of you that don't, I eat primarily ketovore, which means I'm usually about 90% carnivore and then 10% keto. And that can include anything from like vegetables, you know, such as like bell peppers, occasionally some kind of salad.
Mostly like steak and beef, sometimes vegetables. Brussels sprouts, broccoli.
Only because she makes it
Delicious.
I'll give you that one. But as she said, we're usually looking at things like eggs, any kind of meats, occasionally some kind of cheeses. I might occasionally add some heavy whipping cream to my coffee. Just real simple things like that.
If you had to say you had a diet type, it'd be minimalist.
And of course, me being more strict, when I'm buying like my eggs and meats, like eggs, I'm going for pasture-raised eggs. My meats, I'm going for grass-fed, 100% grass-fed and finished. And then like the heavy whipping cream, cheeses, I'm looking for stuff that's coming from grass-fed cows.
That is one thing that he has converted me over to. I used to just buy whatever I wanted. The cheapest item was the best item. Now I go for more organic, pasture-fed.
Pasture-raised.
Pasture-raised. I'm still learning all the words. Anyway, I know the brands, at least. We're doing better.
Now, before y'all get bored and fall asleep from me talking about this stuff, because I have a lot in my other videos, let's move on to fasting and the different routines that we do. Now, typically 16-8 is what Heather does, but then you have other ratios like 18-6, and then you have 20-4, which I usually do typically one of those two. It just depends on whether or not I'm working, if I have any kind of events or things going on.
There's also UNAD,
which is something that I did do for a long period of time, about a whole year, but from just listening to my body and finding that I found myself being constantly hungry even after my large meal just a few hours later, I figured it was time to make a shift and eat two. Now that I've shifted to that, I'm able to easily get from one meal to the next and then fast all the way to the next day.
So that gets into like our different cycles. He can eat a lot all at once. I can't. I eat 4 bites and I'm done.
She eats like a bird.
I do. I will think I am starving. And then I get to the meal and I'm like, you know? 5 bites in, I was like, wow, this was delicious, but then I need to eat a couple hours later, which is why I eat twice a day.
Now, of course, me, if I just went a few bites into my meal, I'd be pretty pissed off. She's pissed off for just because she can only get 5 bites in.
It's very irritating.
So getting into cheating, and as far as like what we like to cheat with and how often we like to do it. Now, I'm more drawn towards like sweet stuff when I cheat. Like, for example, not so much candy, but things like peach cobbler. I like caramel drizzled popcorn. Anything with excess sugar in it, I like to enjoy when I cheat. Where on the flip side, Heather was a little more, what would you say, more savory?
Yeah, I'm more on the savory side. I like things like potatoes, fries.
Who don't like those?
Who doesn't like potatoes? Things like fried chicken. Oh, you got me there. And bread. I love bread.
She's a little gluten monster. But there's always keto bread.
There's like the Aldi's keto bread that they've got. There's
It has canola oil.
Yep. But there's also like Kiss My Keto, Chompies, and Unbun.
And Unbun, now that's my favorite. Unbun is actually the most cleanest keto bread that you can get. It is a little bit expensive because it is one of the few keto breads is actually completely clean. They don't use any nasty oils. There's no chicory root fiber, which does actually cause people a lot of digestive issues, and it is in a lot of keto products, but not in Unbun. And they have a lot of different things. They got actual hamburger buns, they've got rolls, bagels, and a few other products.
The bagels are delicious.
So as far as how often we cheat, now for me personally, it's usually once, maybe twice a month, if even that, except during the holidays, like around Christmas time. Like this past Christmas, during 1 week, there was about 3 times I cheated. Now, granted, it wasn't a whole day. It was just specific meals. Like, for example, we went to our family's house and we had a good, normal dinner. Wasn't really anything too high carb in it. But then for dessert, I enjoyed a piece of cheesecake.
And on the other hand, I cheat from 1 to 5 times a week, honestly.
At least she's being honest. Like when she sporadically orders DoorDash without me knowing in the middle of the day.
I like my Chili's chicken crispers. What can I say?
I'm sure your intestines don't like the chili chicken crispers though too much.
Not too often.
You said 1 to 5 times a week.
Not 5 times. I would not have that 5.
Anyways, down in the comments, tell us what your favorite cheat food is and how often you eat it. So as far as how I feel though after I cheat. Now, one thing you should never do if you're gonna cheat and you're gonna get right back on track, don't ever beat yourself up, okay? Emotionally, that's not the thing to do. Now, as far as physically, that's gonna vary from person to person depending on how long you've been doing keto, how fat adapted you are. Typically, things I experience are a little bit of brain fog, a little bit of fatigue, sleepiness, but usually within 3 to 4 hours, I bounce back and I'm feeling good again. Now, although I may not be in ketosis, I still don't feel that way like all day.
I have the brain fog like he does. I feel really fatigued and I can't seem to get on with my life.
And in this day and time, we do not have time to not get on with our lives. There are a lot of things like supplements that can help you recover from either cheat days or cheat meals a lot better and quicker. One being electrolytes, period. We've got potassium, magnesium, usually calcium you're not gonna have to worry about too much. Then also taking a good whole food organic B complex. I'll have that link down in the description. It's the one I've been taking for a while. But that's gonna do it for today, guys. Let me know down in the comments if you wanna see her back in more upcoming videos. And if you don't, she's probably going to be in them anyways. But guys, keep it keto.
Keep it healthy.
And we'll talk to you guys later.